Hello, everyone. I know people are joining as I speak here. I'm going to give it another minute to officially start on time. Just some housekeeping things. I love interaction on these. So there is a Q&A in Zoom. Feel free to type any questions there. We'll take periodic breaks throughout the webinar, maybe to go through those questions and answers. If anybody feels like asking a live question, you can raise your hand in there and I can unmute you if you want to just ask the question or maybe answer somebody else's question. So give me one more minute here and we'll get started. Hold on. All right. Hello, welcome. Oh, geez, I was gonna just say happy Friday. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Uh, again, I knew quite a few people joined here in the last minute or so. I always encourage questions, so use the Q&A in Zoom. You should be able to post some questions in there. If you want, you can raise your hand, and I'd unmute you if you want to ask a live question. I know we've got, I think, some customers, some prospects in here, so hopefully everybody can get something out of this presentation. So yeah, so today's topic is all about kind of technology's role in guest satisfaction. Um, I just have to make sure I can go through these slides here. So agenda is just a brief introduction about me, brief introduction about rezStream for those of you who might not be familiar, and then we'll kind of get right into it. I kind of have this divided into two topics. Technology and guest communication, as well as technology and like staffing planning. And then go through a couple of case studies, recap, special offer, and of course, just Q&A throughout. So again, um, no question's a bad question. Heck, if you have a question about something else, I may save it to the end, but throw a question in there and I will help out. So little bit about me, Jeff Hebrink here. I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary here at rezStream, but I actually worked for over 5 years at another software company back in the late 90s, did the same thing. So worked with small and medium-sized independent properties. I was born, raised here in Minnesota. Uh, Beautiful this time of the year and for the next at least 4 or 5 months. And then depending upon your view, it may not be beautiful. Um, and I love just spending time outside, especially in the summer when we get one. And the more time on the golf course, the better for me. I just have a photo here. My son in the 2023, he won the NCAA Division III championship. So that was fun. Just a photo of me and my family. My dad got to go as well. So that was really, really special. About rezStream, uh, we offer a suite of solutions. So most people know us for our software, which comes with the booking engine. But we also offer digital marketing, like SEO, email, social, blogs, etc. And then we do websites as well. Our kind of core focus, uniques, is superior customer service. We really design the software to be easy to use. And we've heard, and that's what we hear, is it's a great value. So it's well priced for what you get. So rezStream rewards. You can scan this, but for current customers, I guess if you're not a customer, you can take part in this as well. We offer just kind of instantaneous rewards for signing up. If you have any referrals, giving us name, you can get a gift card. If they attend a demo, you can get a bigger gift card. And then if they actually purchase, you get another big. So, and then there's just other stuff you can do too. So we'll just keep this up if you want to snap a photo of that with your phone and sign up there. That would be great. So again, I mentioned the kind of the first topic here about guest messaging. So it's all about technology's role in guest satisfaction. So guest messaging plays a crucial part in guest satisfaction, and that what it basically what it is communication before, during, and after the stay. So this just kind of goes through all the different things you'd want to communicate, anticipating their needs, right? Like some people may not know directions or want a quick link. People use their phones for navigating. What time is check in, check out? Those things are all just kind of, it may not be super important to them when they make the reservation, but eventually they're going to want to know that. Of course, their reservation summary just to kind of confirm they made a reservation for what they thought they made a reservation. Expectations around, do you offer food? Are there places around there to be food? What do you recommend? And then housekeeping recommendations. So how often are you going to change my sheets, if you do at all? And then just anything unique about your property that you're going to want to share, policies, restrictions. And then just having the ability to quickly respond to those things is pretty important. I do see I have a question here. I'll probably do that at the end since I'm not specifically going through loyalty programs, but thank you for the question, but I'll make sure to address that. I'm segmenting this guest messaging. I'm kind of segmenting it a little bit here with email and texting. Most of my information is more on texting, but I do have some email options along the way. But I like to categorize like, hey, when you do email, why should you do email? When should you do email? Kind of what to inform the guest of. Email is more that it's best for if you want to provide a fairly large quantity of information. It's easy for them to kind of sock away in a folder in their inbox or just kind of email refer back to. And then it's more for more advanced before their reservation, right? Like once they hit the road and they're sort of kind of hit it on or their vacation or on their trip, email becomes less efficient and effective. So just some ideas there for email, confirmation letter immediately after the booking, payment requests. Again, I'm going to focus on rezStream, but other softwares as well. You can include a link where people can go kind of pay their reservation if you want, or make multiple payments on that if you allow that. And then a pre-arrival. So for email, I would say the sooner the better, like a week all the way down to 1 day before their arrival. And then post stay, I'd say wait until the day after their departure. And then talking about SMS, text messaging. SMS is, you know what, I forget the acronym there, but text messaging, basically. It's used for probably more quick bits of info. You can use links in messages, though, if you'd like to share more information. It is wonderful for sharing, sending the date of and or during the stay, or almost immediately after the stay. when they're kind of on their trip, they're at your property. It's best for two-way communication. Email, yes, they can reply, and then yes, you can reply back. But let's face it, email isn't always the quickest form of communication. And then some AI functions. So I'm going to be talking a lot about rezStream again and what kind of we use for that. Some AI functions in there. So some ideas for text messaging: the morning of their arrival, sending them a message and having them sign a registration like pre-arrival. Waiver forms, if you do waiver forms or want them to fill out any sort of form, you can do that. That would kind of maybe be the day before, maybe the day of. Uh, it offers some digital guidebooks, just more information about your area. That's, probably the afternoon or evening even of their arrival. And then, of course, throughout, surveys. Texts just garner a lot more reviews, surveys. So doing that in stay allows you to kind of stave off some bad reviews, and then, of course, post stay. So let's get into a little bit more of before the stay. So kind of show like a text version and then maybe like an email version here. So confirmation, of course, immediately after their booking. Again, I feel I am on the side of an email on this. People can comment or anything like that. I'm more on the side of an email on this scenario because you can do like nice letterhead, and it's more of a paragraph form. They get to kind of see it. It recaps all of that. Versus a text where you'd probably almost need to click a link and go out there. Not that it's not effective. I would just need an email on that. And then a pre-arrival would be either or, I think. Text message is great, kind of gets them excited. They're probably going to see that sooner than they will an email, but an email is definitely great to send there too. And again, email, you sort of get the freedom to put a bunch of information right there if you want to recap FAQs right there without worrying about them clicking a link. But both, I'd say both are forms of communication. And I should preface this. I don't think you need to decide one or the other. I'm in the camp that send both. That way people will kind of choose the way that they um, day of arrival. Hold on. Somebody asked a question. So I just, again, as I go through here, I want to address questions. What role does real-time data and analytics play in anticipating and meeting guest needs through the rezStream cloud? I'd I'd probably, let's save that because I might want to unmute you just because I probably have some more questions back to you before I can just answer that one. So let's hold off on that. Maybe it'll be just best to unmute you and go through that. But okay. Day arrival. I'm sure, well, I hope everybody at some point gets to leave their property and go on a vacation or stay at a different property. So you probably have experienced some of these things, whether that's an email, whether that's a text. But this is just kind of a video to show like a registration card and kind of the like a point of view here. You can kind of, I'll play the video. You can watch it happen while I talk about it. But you're going to get a way faster open and response rate. You can include some engaging content in here. You can actually make it an experience of them filling it out. And then, as you see here, you can kind of put whatever you want on here and it sort of guides them through the registration process. We have people using things like sending a photo of their driver's license. So I should have had a poll here. How many people are getting chargebacks for people saying, "Oh, I wasn't there," or "It wasn't me"? We're learning that having an actual picture, photo ID, or a copy of their ID is crucial. and you can get that right here, and then it's always just kind of stored there. So with texting, it's fast, open, you'll get quicker response. You can put some pretty engaging content, and then it's kind of like an experience going through that. But email option, kind of today's the day. Go through check-in times, directions, late check-in instructions. Again, it's probably less of an interactive experience on an email. However, it it still gets the point. So again, I'm always maybe in the boat of sending both, but you guys can kind of decide for yourself. But for SMS, you can kind of see by the video I played, it's just a more engaging process. And I already just did that. I apologize. I had a duplicate slide on there, so I apologize. So this would be kind of that. I think I spoke about the evening of their arrival, more of like an information share, right? So I'll play this video here as I talk about it, but it's an opportunity for you to send a text, welcome them to the property, and feature some local business partners. If you have local restaurants, if you don't have a restaurant on site, you kind of want to partner with other restaurants. If you have things you can upsell yourself, it's a great opportunity there. But it really allows you to be the expert in the whole area. So things like activities to do, where to go, and it's kind of like your own app without having to do it. Again, we work with a company called IKEA, so that is kind of who rezStream integrates with. We have a full integration where we kind of just are constantly sending reservations over there, so they all know who's arriving, departing, their reservation information. But it really allows you to showcase your property in a unique way. But for email, again, you can send that email, and it's probably more of like bullet point recommendations. It's not really going to be too interactive. It's a little less engaging, but you can get the point across, right? This could all be in one email. But as we know, a lot of people spend a lot of time on their phones, and it's just a more engaging experience. And with email, I think you got a less of a chance for that to get opened, at least while they're. I'm going to address a question. One came in here. How do you handle technology failures during peak times? Yeah, see, this is where I wish I could just unmute people. So if you're talking about how rezStream handles technology failure with regards to like using the software, like if you're using our software and your internet goes down, let's talk about that because that does happen. Hopefully you have cell phone service at least, but if that's not the case, if you're just completely down and you have zero internet access, for like rezStream, we're a cloud-based software. We don't really have a desktop-based solution. If you're talking about maybe the guest is having technology failures during that time, that's maybe where the losing cell phone coverage, maybe where the dual cell phone or text message and an email, both ways to communicate. So maybe you don't have cell phone service, but you can connect to Wi-Fi and get it. So I hope that answers the question. So these questions are great, but sometimes I'm just it's like, oh, let's have a conversation here, which again we can address later. You can maybe we'll save the raising your hands and talking until later too, but we can get into a deeper discussion if you want. So, during this day, so let's talk about they've arrived, they're here, they've spent their first night. What kind of communication can you have during their stay? Well, one is just flat out messaging, right? So they want to know certain things a lot of times. So their options are to, have obviously walk down to the front desk if you have a front desk. We work with, you know, vacation rentals that might not have a front desk or other properties. And some people might just not want to head down to the front desk. How do they get a hold of you? They can look up your phone number, or they might already have your phone number. They could call, they could email you. But text messaging here, where should we park? What time is checkout? Can I get more towels? Those types of things allows them to kind of start communication. It gives them easy access to your staff, and that's quick response times, right? So like this is an example down below here on the right. You're going to see kind of the guest sees it as a text message, but you're actually going to see it more as a chat. So it's going to come in, you'd get alerted, you get pinged, you can respond. Made a comment here about AI. So AI allows you to sort of handle those frequently asked questions with an automated response. So like, what time is checkout? The system kind of knows they're asking to see time and see checkout. It will automatically, hey, Joe, thanks for asking. Checkout time is at 11 a.m. Or what time is check-in, or where should we park? Those things can all be kind of automated. One huge one that people use is Wi-Fi password. I think check-in time, checkout time, like those are kind of like the top three. Big AI, you really don't even have to respond. The system will just respond. You can personalize that response. So it'll be a super fast response, and it'll come through AI. But it does allow you to, while you're communicating, upsell them as well. So I put the email option here. Again, I feel like once a property gets, or once a guest gets to your property and starts their stay, email it just becomes less used, less engaging, less response rates, all of that stuff. So let's talk about after the stay. So I think the biggest opportunity for people for after the stay is getting reviews. So we've heard of some people doubling their review responses in a year. So they've tried email, and yes, they get opens, and yeah, they get some reviews. But sending a text message, it's a much more responsive way. So, hey, tell us how we did, and then it can post a survey. So again, this is kind of done through like Acquia, right? Hey, tell us how we did. Click here. It goes to a survey, and then you can actually have automated responses depending upon what they choose. So like if they chose the number one, it wouldn't respond saying thank you, would you help and share your review online. It could be like, oh, we're so sorry to hear that, we'll be in touch, right? Like, or you could just say, could offer another one, what was the reason for that, whatever. I recommend just, oh, we're sorry to hear that, we'll be in touch, and then you'll get pinged when that happens, and I would pick up the phone, or you can send another message through. Then you can really get personalized. But it makes it super easy. You get the surveys, and then share those reviews online. So there's a little stat. 95% of text messages are read and responded to within 3 minutes of being received. Can't really say that for email. I should have looked at a stat for email, but it's not that high. And the majority of guests say that reviews have influenced their decision to book at a. So if everybody doesn't know, for like digital marketing purposes, Google does kind of look at how many reviews you're getting and those rated reviews, and they're probably gonna list someone a little higher if they have more reviews and more and better, more stars. I was gonna say better reviews. There is an email option. Not saying that doesn't work. It does work. Thanks for staying. Click here to review. Same sort of scenario. The click might go to a review site automatically, or it might go to some software you might use for guest satisfaction on there. Building repeat guests. So this is another area after the stay. You can quickly offer like a discount code. That might be in addition to the response rate. So, oh, they gave me a 5-star review. Hey, thanks for sharing. And then, hey, we appreciate your business. Use this code, and you could have it like book within certain number of days and receive 10% off, or valid for the following year, or whatever it is. And then again, email options are, you could then include photos, and it just allows you to include more information. So, all right. Before I go any further, I want to make sure I'm addressing questions. I love all the questions. I typically don't get this many, so I really appreciate it. So, um, how do you measure the ROI of technology investments and guest satisfaction? That's a great question. And it's not always so easy. Obviously, if you do like this, I'll just talk about this promo codes. You should be able to do in any software. You should be able to kind of get revenue by promo code. So that's kind of an easy way to do it. Repeat guests, um, the quantity of repeat versus new guests, those are all kind of play a part in it. You can track your reviews. You should get notified by Google every time you get a review. If you start kind of implementing some new policies, you will be able to kind of do that. So those are just kind of different ways. Our software doesn't really have like the um, you know guest satisfaction show me the guest satisfaction ratings in rezStream. Akia does have that though, so you can kind of get that. Complexities of group bookings, event management. I'll probably address that towards the end, since it's not necessarily related to the topic. Will there be a raffle at the end of the session? Yes. I didn't have time to put that slide in. I was having an issue, but I will ask a question, and anybody who puts the answer in the comment, I will give away a $25 Amazon gift card. So you must maybe I don't know. Maybe you've attended one of my webinars before. I typically do that, so thank you for that question. These are great questions. How does your platform handle feedback from guests? Are there automated tools for collecting and analyzing guest feedback? So yeah, so again, we partner with a company like Akia here. That's where a lot of the analyzing comes through. So if you start doing that feedback, that reporting and that capability is done kind of in their platform. We're resellers. They actually can purchase this through us, since we're kind of tied in with them. But there are definitely ways to collect and analyze that. And that's kind of how you collect it and then analyze it. So, good question, Emma. Future developments, upcoming features. I can talk about that. I am going to go through a couple of case studies, Dean. So you're talking about real world example case studies. At the end, I do have 2 case studies that I plan on going through. Geez, these are great questions. I'm gonna continue on with my slides and then I'll come back. I think I've got it. I've got it marked here. So just kind of concluding the messaging part of this, it's communication. Any and all communication is good. It just allows the guests to kind of communicate whatever platform they want to use, and making it easy. Make it easy for them to find you, communicate with you, get the answers they need. Texting will provide an easier for most people. I'm not going to say everybody. There are people who don't use texting. They still have the flip phones. That's not as easy. So there will be a portion. I don't mean to say everybody. Email, I still think is a great option, especially for the confirmations. Getting more information to them in a kind of a storable format, that they can refer back to. So now I kind of want to switch gears a little bit to how technology kind of in more of the staffing and planning can help guest satisfaction. Um, and we'll just go right into it. So staff planning. First of all, you always want to be staffed correctly, right? You don't want to be understaffed, and there's potential payroll savings for not being overstaffed. And then kind of getting people in the right roles, right? So maybe you're not going to sit there and say, oh, you don't have to work today, you don't have to work, but maybe they come in, but just knowing where you're going to need the most help. So for example, we have like a guest forecast report, which kind of gives you like the number of people as well as the number of units kind of checking in, checking out, staying over. Can help you with housekeeping as well as just concierge or just staff members to be able to answer questions or to get help. That all kind of plays a part in guest satisfaction. Now, let's talk about housekeeping. So again, I'm kind of featuring a partner of ours that we integrate with called Comfortly. So this is an example of like housekeeping reports and like checklists. So you can automate housekeeping tasks with this, save time, cut costs, um, by going through like a checklist. You'll ensure kind of that high quality. So if something is not missed, it provides accountability for the staff. And I know accountability is one of those words that can be negative. I view it as positive. Just that everybody knows what's expected of them and they are held accountable, right? So, and if they do everything, it's great. They're not doing everything. Well, I mean, they should know that, right? So, um, and then it just allows for faster turnovers for guests checking in to just have the ability to quickly run a report like this, go through an inspection, go through a checklist, and get it done. Maintenance. So we work with small to medium sized independent properties like bed and breakfast, motels, hotels, family resorts with cabins. We also do vacation rentals. Maintenance is a big issue, right? Things break down, things need repairing, um, lawns need to be mowed. So all of that stuff is important for providing a very positive guest experience. So again, another screenshot from our partner, Comfortly, in this, their maintenance area. So you can automate recurring tasks. So say every Monday you take the garbage out on some unit, you can have that be a recurring task where every Monday it pops up. Um, or if there's somebody that has filled out a maintenance request, you can click on that. It almost creates like a ticketing system. Then you can complete that. And then it's really just getting real time information, which equals being efficient. And being efficient basically means happier guests. Uh, and so we talked about guest communication. This is more about staff communication. So improving communication in amongst staff. It encourages communication, which is to higher team morale, more efficient workers. So being able to send a message back and forth or post messages. It's just happier employees, more efficient employees, and it's kind of one location for them to go. Um, I know some people have, they could just have each other's phone numbers, so they could text back and forth, but that doesn't create the visibility with something like the Comfortly view here is like a message board. The bottom screenshot is like from our dashboard. We have like shared notes area, excuse me, and a tasks area. So it's just a different way to communicate it. Okay, so before I get into case studies, I'm going to head back to the Q&A. And just because I know time can get tight, and if people leave early, I do usually go through after these things. And if I wasn't able to address all of those questions, I usually reach out one by one and respond to people. Uh, but Eric asks, what's the most overrated technology in hospitality today and why? So I don't know if anybody's responding, but I'm sure he would appreciate other people's responses as well. Um, Overrated technology in hospitality. For me, I I don't think it's used a lot, but I've been to quite a few trade shows where they have like the robotic like waiters or like housekeeping will bring you towels or whatever. I, I that's just my opinion. I think that's probably one of the more overrated pieces of technology. I don't think we're there yet. Um, I'm not sure it's super highly adopted. It just comes to mind when I go to some of these shows. I purposely try to get in the way of those things, and sometimes it comes really close to hitting me, and I don't. I just feel like it's a disaster waiting to happen. Personally, um, what are the biggest misconceptions about using technology to enhance guest satisfaction that I encounter? I would say the biggest misconception is that it will all just do it all for you. Um, I did refer to some AI technology, which can kind of read incoming texts and determine if that's something that AI could answer. Some people might just assume that you can just set everything up in AI and it'll take care of it, and I don't really have to get too involved. Um, I think that's a misconception. So I really, even if it is getting involved in answering some questions, I would ensure that someone is there and going a little bit above and beyond. So asking a question, even though maybe the AI responded, doesn't mean a staff member couldn't also then piggyback on that and then turn that into an upsell opportunity. So I personally think that might be one of the biggest misconceptions. So thank you for that question. These are great questions. I love these. Um, Dean, from my experience, from your experience, maybe he's asking everybody too. So again, I think everybody can answer these. I hope they can, or just throw it in comments as well. But I'll just give you my opinion. From my experience, what aspects of personalized guest communication has the most significant impact on guest loyalty? I would say um, communication in general. If and I'll just speak to this, even excluding rezStream, um, experiences I've had on vacations. There's almost always I do have some sort of question, and since a lot of times I'm not getting those texts to where I can engage, I almost have to hunt and peck. Okay, I'm going to go to their app and then go try to find it. So there, I stay in some chain hotels sometimes, and I almost have to go to their app and I'm hunting and pecking for answers, and I'm just not getting them. And then I really don't know how to communicate, and then I end up having to pick up the phone. Um, so I think the personalized communications of offering first names. So when you're sending that registration card or sending that survey or responses using their first name, um, and knowing the information. So like the registration card, it automatically just kind of knows when they're coming, when they're, leaving, how many people, all of that stuff. So, um, Bob, thank you for that. I'll let people read that. I do actually have in my case study. I'm going to talk about broadcasts with Akia, but good point. Um, how does the platform handle multilingual communication for international? That's a super good question, Edward. And to be completely honest, I know rezStream doesn't have any multilingual on there, and I've never been asked that. I'd have to check the Akia platform. So I'm just going to be honest and say I'm not sure, but I can get back to you on that. Can technology ever be too intrusive for guests? Well, I guess it can be, sure. But I personally think what I talked about today with technology, especially with like messaging, And I'm gonna say no on that. When I don't want to see my text or leave I just don't have my phone. Um, so I get to kind of decide when I want to, see messages. For me, I hardly open my email. I like hardly open my email when I'm on vacation. It's all text. Um, I'm on the view of email can wait. But if I'm getting both, I'm not feeling intruded or boy, this is over communicating. Now, I'm going to back up just 1 second. I don't feel like you should be paying them 10 times a day on this, unless they're interacting with you, right? If they're responding to you and you're responding back, then of course, as many messages as it takes. Um, but I don't feel like you should have, multiple, like 5 automated messages going out to everyone every day of their stay. I feel like that gets to be too much and probably would land them into unsubscribing from that. Because that's easy to do in text. You could just hit reply, stop, and then it would just stop doing that. So I think it could be for the most part, um, unless you're being pretty crazy about it, I don't feel like it's intrusive, at least what I talked about. I think in general, it is not. So, do you believe there is a point at which technology, oh, that's almost exactly what I just answered. So you guys had the same mind. How do you strike a balance? I hope I answered that, but I would just strike a balance in texting, emailing, seeing how and if they respond, and just not sending, you know, I talked about the day of the arrival, sending one message in the morning or registration card. And if you don't want to do a registration or pre-arrival, it can just be like, we're so excited to see you. Check-in time is at 3 p.m. And then one more in the evening to just make sure they have the information they're going to need for their stay. I personally think during is more of a I like in-stay surveys, especially after their first night, because there's some people that might maybe their coffee maker didn't work and it wasn't such a big deal, but because they could come down to your front desk and you serve coffee down there. But after the first night, sending a text message, hey, tell me about your stay so far. I know it's been one night, but I'd like to hear about it. It allows them to sort of bring up some things which aren't necessarily that big of a deal, but it could add up. And maybe at the end of their stay, they're like, yeah, it was kind of a bummer. I had to go down every day for coffee instead of just having it in my room. Where if you do something like that, um, you can catch that right away and then immediately respond, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Let me get up with a replacement. What kind of training or support do you offer to help staff utilize the guest messaging features effectively? So again, we resell and partner with Akia, and Akia does full training on that. They have a really cool way of reaching out to their support, which I think is basically just through their platform. Um, we have like a demo on our partner account, so I'm kind of using it, and every once in a while I'll ask a question there. They're super responsive. It looks like, Bob, you're on here. If you have anything to air on that, you're a user of the system. If you've ever needed support, but they go through training. They usually like to capture, hey, what are you going to be doing? Okay, registration card surveys, frequently asked questions, and get all that signed up. So big onboarding, and then of course support yourself. Are smaller establishments at an advantage or disadvantage with advanced tech? I don't think they're either. I think it's up to you what you want to invest in. So some things I'm talking about here aren't free. So like Aki is not free. Um, but the payoffs can be huge. So with guest satisfaction, number of reviews, um, just getting more information quickly is a game changer. It can be a game, and you're no less. I will tell you what. I received more text messages from the smaller properties and more communication, and felt more heard, and felt like I could communicate with those versus a lot of those bigger hotels. So I don't think you're disadvantaged at all. I do feel like it's an investment that you'll need to make, and whether that's something you want to make is kind of up to you. It's hard to do the ROI, but it's more about efficiency, I think. I always tell, sometimes I equate it to like, what would you pay yourself? So if we could save you um, 10 minutes a day of automating and using technology, 10 minutes a day equates to 300 minutes a month, which equates to 5 hours. You guys, you math people out there can really drill me if I didn't get that right. And if you pay yourself whatever $20 an hour, would that pay off? Those are just kind of things that you can use to maybe help do an ROI. Because sometimes it's not necessarily just instantly going to make you money. Although I did talk about upsells. Nokia has their own case studies about upsells. If you do upsells, that can just pay for the service right there. Zena, is there a way to send messages to guests who book through Airbnb and Vrbo where a phone number is not provided, but an email is? Um, Unfortunately, so this is always the OTA questions I always struggle with sometimes because it seems like everybody's account is set up a little differently. But obviously, if they're not giving you a phone number, and they probably won't because they view it as their guest, Airbnb, who when they book for your property, they they view it as their guest. They do a lot of communication with them. They just are like, hey, this person's going to come stay with you, and here's the dates. They do provide an email though, so I always tell people ask if you'd like to receive text messages before, during, and after the say. Please respond with your phone number, and then you can get that into their system. You can get it into their reservation for sure. When they come and check in, I would ask them that. You know, and sometimes there's not a check-in, so email is kind of the only way to communicate with them. But sometimes your hands are tied. They didn't give you any of that information. They probably never will, again, because they want to own that. Yeah, they want them to rebook through Airbnb, not rebook through you. That's how they make money. If they hand over all that information and let you form that relationship, the more likely it is they're going to probably book direct with you, and then they view that as them losing a guest and you're gaining a guest. So good question, but I just sometimes you just have to. That's kind of the price you pay with some of those things. So. Let's see. Considering all the advancements and challenges discussed today, what comprehensive strategy would you recommend for particularly looking to leverage? Geez, that's a great question, a long one. Okay. Um, Eric, good question. And I'll probably address it at the very end. I think throughout my conversations here and answers, I've sort of answered that, but I'll go through it. Let's just talk about a couple. I just kind of wanted to showcase one case study we have for like the messaging part, and then one case study we have for like the staffing and the housekeeping stuff. Um, so this is one of our customers, and kind of some key data points over on the right hand side. Basically 96% engagement with guests. So if you say how much engagement do you get with your emails on guests, maybe this is the big raffle item. I would give a significant amount of money if you've ever achieved 96%. Um, if you've ever tried to get people to fill out a form or a registration card or something, and did that not via text, the 70% is a huge number of digital agreements. So opened up, sent, signed, received. And then Bob, you mentioned this earlier about the mass guest broadcast. So that you are right. I didn't mention that in my slides. But like the messaging system has a way to say, all right, show me everybody that's checked in, and I'm going to send one message. It could be like weather related. Hey, some storms are moving in, just to let everybody know. Or construction is happening, just something you might want to broadcast. And they've sent, 500 out. For them, it's a key thing for them. It's important to be able to just kind of everybody that's currently on site. I just want to send a message. Maybe you have activities, happy hours every 5 o'clock. You could have an automated broadcast go out at 4:30. Join us for happy hour. But so yeah, so they use it for digital registration cards, agreements, and then broadcast messaging. So you can kind of see some results there. And last case study. So this is kind of like that ROI and efficiency I spoke about with the Comfortly integration. So this is Executive Keys condominiums. So they're like more of a vacation rental, but they use our integration with Comfortly. So they have our software kind of managing the reservations, which is tied into the Comfortly app for like maintenance and housekeeping. So some key statistics there. So they've shaved off 10 minutes on checkout cleans. They've gained 3+ hours. She said there's more, but I'll just go 3+ gain back each week. And a 15% reduction. Okay, I was going to say, what's 15% again? So that 10 minutes equates to a 15% reduction in time, which is a significant amount of money. And every single time it's and then just a quote from down at the bottom gives us several hours back each week. Every hour that you can save on something is just another hour you can dedicate yourself to spending more time with your guests, investing in more technology, or attending webinars. So yeah. Okay, Alex, I'm gonna unmute you in just 1 second. Thank you for raising your hand. Just kind of go through this slide. Communication is key to guest satisfaction. Planning makes perfect. Knowing when people are coming, how many people, what staffing you're gonna need for, and then if having happy employees does translate to happier guests, I can guarantee it. Your guests run into employees that are happy, more willing, they're gonna have a better time. So. Alex, you raised your hand. I've unmuted you. Do you have a question? It looks like maybe you have yourself on mute. Or maybe you just raised your hand. I'll give you another 10 seconds if you can unmute. Otherwise, maybe you accidentally raised your hand. All right. That didn't work. So Alex, apologize. You had your hand raised, but it didn't work. So before I get to this, somebody asked some features that we're rolling out. This is my third webinar within like 4 business days. Done a couple of webinars on our release for our internal channel manager. We are releasing next week on Monday our POS. So if anybody has a little gift shop or store or sells item, it's going to be more of a touch screen POS interface right in our software. So some companies are using just another external POS, but we'll have one built in. An accounting features, that's coming very shortly. That's kind of already in the works. It's going through a few people's hands first with the accountants to just verify all the information, but that's a feature that's going to be rolling out here in the coming days. So those were some features I wanted to get back to the question. Edward, can the messaging system be customized to align with brand's voice and tone? Yep. So again, if you're talking about like those automated responses, absolutely. You can use whatever you want for that. That registration or the guidebook that I showed you had branding on there, logos. You can have different colors so it can match your brand. It can like match your website essentially. with that, so we can kind of get that look and feel of your brand. And Emma, looking ahead, what are the key challenges and opportunities you foresee in integrating advanced technology into guest satisfaction strategies? I think some of the key challenges are uh, as Apple keeps releasing more strict protocols on emails, spams, and how their phones and their devices are receiving information. That's a challenge. So companies like Akia, like they have all that stuff. So domain authentication for making sure. Um, the FCC was cracking down on spams with texting. So then now you have to register your business with that, so they kind of know who you are when you're sending texts. So those are kind of some things that I think are only going to get more and more prevalent here in the future. Just kind of more strict protocols with sharing information and all that stuff. How do you prepare to tackle these strategies? I would say just attend webinars like mine, even though I didn't go into that stuff. There's a lot of companies out there that talk about, um, we do email marketing, so we have different webinars that talk about email marketing and how to be better open rates and kind of get around those things and authenticating your domain, all of those things. Okay, I think I hit the questions for now. The webinar specials, I know my time is running up here, but just wanted to go over this. If you're a current customer and you are not using the Akia system, we're waiving the setup fee for people. Just reach out to me here before the end of the month. You attended my webinar. If you're interested in that Comfortly, um, uh, a month free. So there's we have a page on our website that talks about Comfortly. There's a form you can fill out, which we would get you in touch with them. We don't really resell that. We don't charge for the integration, but we would kind of get you to the right person. If you are not a rezStream customer and would like to become one, like with our software, we'll waive the setup fee, give you your first month free. And then for you as well, we would waive the setup fee for that messaging. So those are kind of some offers from this webinar. If you're interested in more like websites and marketing, there are even more discounts available, but that's just kind of what we offer everybody else. So, okay, I am going to quickly run through this last slide here. Sales at rezstream.com. Phone number 303-872-0220 is our phone number. I think option 1 is for sales, 2 is support. You can schedule a demo at our website. So just go to rezstream.com and you can schedule a demo. You can schedule, if you're a current customer, when you schedule a demo, you can talk just about the Akia stuff on there. There's a form that kind of asks you what you want to talk about, or marketing, or websites, or all of it. So, okay. So a raffle. Everybody that's still on, if you're hanging tight here, a question, and everybody can put their answer in that Q&A. As far as the time shaved off of the case study for executive keys, how many minutes did they save on each turnover checkout? And then it's an easy way to cheat people. So you can wait for the first person to put their answer in and everybody can follow suit, but maybe they'll be wrong. But if for whoever responds, I will go back and I'll do a drawing. I'll have a different coworker pick a number between, if there's 10 people that got it correct, 1 and 10, and then we'll email you if you won that. So feel free to type that in the Q&A. I'm gonna keep this open. Does anyone else have a question? They want to raise their hand and unmute to talk, or an answer to somebody else's question? I know we have 2 minutes technically left. I hope my Zoom doesn't just cut off, but I'll keep it open for another 2 minutes just to let everybody answer to get in on that raffle. Ashley, will there be incentive for this session? So yeah, I talked about kind of those promotions for this webinar, the webinar offers for that, and then the giveaway. So right now there's only like 4 people that have the right answer. So you got a really good shot at winning a $25 gift card. You got about 30 seconds left. Oh, Cindy, you raised your hand. I've allowed you to talk. Can you unmute yourself? Cindy, I've unmuted yourself. You raised your hand. I'm not sure if this is a Zoom thing. This usually works. Maybe you don't have a microphone on your computer. Sometimes that happens. All right. I'm not hearing you, and it appears as though you're still muted. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone. It's 3 o'clock. I appreciate everybody that has stuck around till the final, and I appreciate everybody's responses here. There are definitely people that got the answer right, and again, I will have a coworker pick a random number to get that winner and notify you. So, thanks everyone. This will be this is recorded and will be sent to everybody that registered as well, so you can get that in a recap. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.